The world delights in watching a downfall. People gather like vultures, circling above the spectacle of ruin, savoring the chaos like a feast. They lay their traps and wait, whispering among themselves, weaving intricate stories of your demise. But their greatest mistake, believing the story, ends with your fall. Oh no, the curtain rises only after you hit the ground. Plans are fragile things. Blueprints, conspiracies, careful calculations, all reduced to ash when the unexpected happens. And you? You became the unexpected. While they plotted and schemed, thinking themselves architects of your fate, you studied their moves, their weaknesses. Every jab, every slight, every betrayal, you turned it into fuel. A raging fire burns brightest when it has something to consume. Destruction has a beauty to it, doesn't it? The crackle of something breaking, the smoke curling into the sky, the scorched earth left behind. But from destruction comes creation. They thought they had buried you, but in the dark soil of their malice, you planted the seeds of something new. The rise is always more breathtaking than the fall. Power is not given. It's taken, piece by piece, from the hands of those who thought it belonged to them. They built towers to showcase their control, but towers crumble. A well-placed blow, a subtle shift, and suddenly, the mighty come tumbling down. What's left is the one who understands how to survive in the rubble. What's a fall, if not a moment to rest, to watch, to wait, to sharpen yourself into something harder, sharper, and colder than before. They thought it was over because you stayed still. But the patient predator is the deadliest. When you rose, you didn't just stand, you towered. Have you ever noticed how quiet it gets just before something big happens? Like the world holds its breath, waiting for the inevitable explosion. That silence is your playground. It's in those moments you become the storm, the reckoning they never saw coming. You don't roar, you whisper, and the ground trembles. Some chase fairness, justice, equality. But fairness is a myth told to children. Power belongs to those who take it, who wield it with conviction. You didn't rise by playing their game. You flipped the board and made your own rules. And oh, how they screamed. The architects of your fall? They underestimated your ability to adapt. Their moves were predictable, their intentions plain. But you were chaos in its purest form, uncontainable, untamable. You let them think they had won, just long enough to blind them. And when the moment came, you struck with precision. Victory isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a quiet smile in the dark, a moment of clarity when you see the fear in their eyes. They never understood what they were dealing with, did they? You're not just someone who survives. You're someone who thrives in the ruins. Now, the stage is yours. The lights are on. The world is watching. And your rise isn't just a story. It's a lesson. A demonstration of what happens when the underestimated become unstoppable. They planned your fall, but you planned something far greater. Nature gave us every piece of the puzzle required for true wellness, yet left the burden of assembly in our trembling hands. The world lies cluttered with hints, the whisper of the wind at midnight, the sting of the sun on bare skin, the quiet hum of life beneath every stone. These gifts lurk in the shadows of your daily routine, overlooked by a mind too enthralled by flashing screens and suffocating schedules. The real cruelty is that these clues never came with instructions. No manual detailing how to transform raw potential into the brilliance of an unshackled spirit. Some call it an oversight, But the darker perspective is that nature demands your sacrifice. It demands sweat, blood, and tears as the price for forging your own path to strength. In leaving the puzzle incomplete, nature forces you to prove your worth, to decide whether you will be the architect of your own revival or a mere bystander waiting for someone else to solve your riddle. People yearn for someone to hand them the secret, the easy route, the single formula guaranteeing salvation. But nature doesn't bargain. It unveils solutions in subtlety, scattering them across seas and plains, within the battered bark of ancient trees, behind the glimmer in the eyes of creatures that never needed humanity's permission to thrive. These scattered shards are everywhere, a cure hidden in a bitter herb, an epiphany sparked by the silent dance of moonlight. Yet, most walk past them, heads bowed to the ground, minds laden with trivial concerns. They mourn their aches, their confusion, their ever-elusive happiness, never daring to suspect that the answer lies in the puzzle pieces they already possess, but have never tried to assemble. You stand at a threshold. On one side, a life that coasts along, a half-hearted existence steeped in numb repetition. On the other side, a door battered by the winds of chaos, the edges sharpened by the demands of forging your own armor. You have the tools for exceptional wellness. An irony, perhaps, that nature bestows you with these gifts, yet leaves the burden of creation to your trembling will. The majority surrender, letting circumstances hack away at their vitality. They yearn for comfort, never realizing that transformation requires discomfort. But you stare at the scattered puzzle, your veins pulsing with the potential to reforge these fragments into a force far beyond your imagination. The hum of your heartbeat, the scorching edges of your lungs, the trembling tension in your muscles. These are messages coded in the language of the body, a language of primal instincts and unspoken truths. Nature didn't intend for you to remain tame. It gave your body limitless capacity, pliable sinew, an unyielding will. But it didn't write the script for your greatness. That script, forged in the crucible of your darkest doubts, remains unwritten. You alone hold the pen, and every step toward harnessing nature's gifts is a line etched into your personal saga. Fragile illusions keep most people from tapping into the puzzle at their feet. They rely on the illusions sold by glossy advertisements and mechanical patterns of modern living. No force is more sadistic than the comfortable inertia that robs their souls. Meanwhile, nature's puzzle glimmers, waiting for an adventurer to kneel down and gather the shards. The synergy of air, sun, earth, water, the synergy of breath, muscle, mind, spirit. All the synergy is there, waiting to be claimed. Yet the traveler who wants it must stand alone, unafraid to defy the whispers of a society that demands complacency. To reclaim your birthright from nature's cryptic puzzle is an act of defiance. Piecing together the fragments demands more than just curiosity. It demands discipline, the summoning of your wits, the push of your limits. Mastery of the self is the darkest and most treacherous path you'll walk, since no adversary is as clever or as cruel as your own self-doubt. Nature does not suffer half measures. Commit or remain a puppet of a world that profits from your ignorance. The ones who dare to forge these gifts into a mosaic of personal evolution are seen as threats, defiant wanderers, charting roads beyond the map. But in their wake, they leave behind an example far more potent than any promise. This labyrinth of nature's puzzle cannot be navigated with fear-ridden steps. Courage alone is insufficient. Perseverance in the face of repeated failure is the true currency. The more you attempt, the more you risk revealing your vulnerability, your ignorance, your flaws. But that is how you earn nature's final blessings. By bearing your weaknesses and adapting, by turning every misstep into momentum. People fear this path, clinging to their stagnant routines like barnacles on a sinking ship. Yet the only guarantee in not trying is an unremarkable life, suffocated by regret. Step into the chaos of nature's puzzle, and you step into your own metamorphosis. Yes, the world might label you arrogant for believing you can decode the scattered knowledge left behind by nature. Let them choke on their cynicism. Arrogance, in this case, is merely the will to push past illusions, to find meaning in the unknown. Meanwhile, the rest remain docile, slaves to an existence curated for them by those who profit from their reluctance to think. Your intention isn't to gloat, but to set a torch, ablaze, in the murk of stagnation, revealing the terrain for anyone bold enough to follow. Yet you expect no applause. Their scorn, their envy, their hatred are marks of your stride. Sometimes, forging a new life from nature's puzzle demands a shedding of old skins. People, habits, comforts. They may crumble along the journey. Let them. The puzzle requires new space, unoccupied by lingering nostalgia or toxic ties. Reassembling your destiny from nature's shards is a solitary mission. But the fruits of that mission shine brighter than anything you'd glean from living another's script. Every victory is yours alone. Every revelation found by your sweat and sacrifice. People may laugh at your obsessions, your early mornings, your relentless pursuit of an ideal. Let them. Later, when the puzzle is complete, their cackles will morph into hollow silence, overshadowed by your living proof. Nature gave the pieces, but never promised to connect them. That responsibility weighs on your shoulders. The puzzle lies scattered across time and elements, waiting for your hands to collect, interpret, and reconstruct. The hardest part is realizing you always had the power to assemble them, that the fear has been the only cage all along. Forge the puzzle into your identity. Become the master of your own life. The fear of loneliness is a poison that seeps into every choice, every hesitant breath, every trembling step toward what might be called connection. It convinces you that any company, no matter how toxic, is better than facing the echo of your own footsteps. The world feeds this fear, teaching that solitude is synonymous with failure, that to be alone is to be unwanted, discarded by the collective. In that fear, you surrender to others' whims, craving validation, desperate to avoid the whispering void of an empty room. Yet, letting yourself be used because you're afraid of the shadows creeping when the lights go out is the quickest path to losing yourself entirely. People sense this need in you, like wolves sniffing out the weakest member of the pack. They play upon the terror you carry, coaxing you into self-sabotage. They exploit the cracks in your armor, the cracks you hammered yourself, cracks you told yourself would keep you from dissolving into isolation. But in yielding to that exploitation, you carve deeper wounds, fracturing your sense of self even more. And the more you degrade your worth to avoid loneliness, the further you drift from true acceptance. Real acceptance can't grow in the soil of manipulation or the quiet submission demanded by those who feed on your fear. It sprouts from a core of self-reliance, of recognizing that solitude is not the ultimate horror, but a crucible where your real strength can spark. Being alone isn't a curse. It's a challenge to cultivate your own depths. When you let yourself be used by people who prey on your aversion to solitude, you become their puppet, dancing to a tune that erodes your identity. They feed you breadcrumbs of attention, enough to keep you starving for more, enough to ensure you never question the dynamic. You think you're surviving, but what kind of survival is it when you betray your own value daily? The manipulator demands your loyalty, your subservience, fueling you with the fear that if you stand your ground, you'll stand alone. So you sacrifice your dignity bit by bit, an offering to stave off the cold quiet. But the real quiet is the hush that settles over your soul when it realizes you've betrayed it for fleeting companionship. The world teaches that to be alone is to be incomplete, but solitude can be a cauldron of creation, a place where you shape yourself from the ashes of others' expectations. By denying the necessity of solitude, you remain a half-formed creature, trapped in the illusions orchestrated by those who never saw you as an equal partner. The irony is that by avoiding loneliness, you invite a deeper emptiness that swallows your sense of who you are. There's a savage beauty in the realization that your worth isn't contingent on anyone's presence. Loneliness can be an ally, a doorway that leads you to the raw, unvarnished truth of your potential. If you stand alone, yes, you face the echo of your thoughts, the vulnerability of your unguarded state. But within that echo is the chance to craft your identity. The manipulator dreads the day you discover how little you need them, that your essence is not shaped by their approval. Their grip loosens the moment you stop fearing the emptiness. The best revenge on those who cling to your insecurities is to evolve beyond them, to become so at ease with your own company that no manipulator's promises can tempt you again. Fearing isolation is a chain that keeps you tethered to users. But the dark revelation is that the mind, unafraid, stands taller than any false companionship. By refusing to be used, you open yourself to the possibility of genuine relationships forged on mutual respect, not codependence. People might sneer, call you self-centered, but that's the tactic of those who can't stand losing their hold on your fear. They shame you for stepping back, accuse you of cruelty, of ingratitude. But these words are the last weapons of the powerless. The moment you accept solitude as an option is the moment you become unstoppable. No manipulator can hold leverage over you once you master the art of standing alone. When you forsake your terror of solitude, you inherit a kingdom of self. No one enters your gates without invitation. No manipulator drains your life in the name of comfort. Loneliness ceases to be an enemy. It transforms into a shield, a reminder that dependence on others for self-worth only paves the road to betrayal. And so, while they planned your fall, you planned your rise, forging alliances only with those who recognize your sovereignty.